Is it possible to build a thriving capital city from the ground up? That's what Brazilian President Juscelino Kubitschek de Oliveira tasked architect Oscar Niemeyer and urban planner Lucio Costa with in the late 1950s. The new capital, Brasilia, was to be an ideal city that would bring modern life to central Brazil. Air travel was the great passion of the age, promising a world without horizons. The city of Brasilia was laid out from the air in the shape of an aeroplane, each section a zone designated for a particular type of activity. The fuselage was where the city's bureaucrats would work, while at night they would travel to the wings where their homes were situated. The plain on which Brasilia was to be built stretched as far as the eye could see. Although a 40-square-kilometre artificial lake was made, the architect's creations would provide the only vertical features in this landscape. This was a city where the buildings would be everything. The style was to be entirely Brazil's own, with no influence from the Baroque or classical European heritage that dominated other cities. And there were to be no favelas or slums. The apartment complexes were intended to be home to top ministers and working-class labourers alike. The buildings of Brasilia won international recognition and praise in the world of architecture for their sculptural beauty and their modern sense of optimism. White concrete and graceful curves characterize Niemeyer's creations. Columns and water are used to create buildings that seamlessly blend with the ground from which they rise. Niemeyer's style has become synonymous with Brazil's modernist architecture and led to Brasilia being designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Niemeyer was awarded the 1988 Pritzker Prize, which is widely seen as architecture's Nobel. In 1960, the futuristic new capital was inaugurated. But would it work as a city? Some of Brasilia's critics said the grand designs were simply not on a scale that suited human life. The streets were too wide, more suited to cars than pedestrians. In the city's early years, the bureaucrats complained that the streets around their offices and homes were lifeless. At weekends, they would travel to São Paulo to find fun. Today's town planners tend to shy away from the type of zoning used in Brasilia's aeroplane layout in favor of mixed-use areas. The messiness of cities that evolve over time is missing from Brasilia. There are no shops with flats above them and children playing outside. Little has happened randomly here, and this is what many would argue brings a city its character. But not everything in Brasilia has gone according to plan, and this is breathing life into the city. The apartment complexes are intended to be home to rich and poor alike, but in reality, only the rich live there now. This has meant that ordinary life has been pushed out to the edges of the city, beyond the aeroplane layout, where a more natural city is emerging. One important sign that Brasilia is a success is that 2.5 million people now live there. The city was originally designed to hold just 500,000. It is still too soon to tell whether, beyond its beauty, Brasilia is one of the great capital cities. The world's best-loved capitals, from Cairo to London, took hundreds or even thousands of years to acquire their character. Brasilia is not yet 100 years old. In a century or two, we will perhaps be able to judge it more fairly.